The Pelicans are making a major change at one of his roster positions, but is it the right move? We're going to debate that inside this episode and also give you an update on some roster moves the team just made this morning inside this edition of Pelicans Digest. What's good with it, y'all? It's your people, Melz On The MIC, back once again inside Pelicans Digest. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't done it yet, baby, you're missing out, man. This is what we call the shots, man. We've been batting at about 750 so far. And thank you so much to everybody that subscribed. But if you're still a part of the majority that still are watching and haven't subscribed, man, come on, man, hit that subscribe button, man. Like the video, share this video with your fellow Pels fans, and you'll get the latest updates on what's going on with the squad. And we got some breaking news this morning as the Pelicans are now back in the States after their Australia runs with the NBL, which was a lot of fun to watch. Exciting basketball if you're a Pelicans fan, to see this team sort of start to look like it's gelling together, and you start to see some of the depth that this team has. But we also got a possible, I don't want to say it's possible, but I did come across an article, okay, from Chris Lambert from Pelicans Digest that I want to discuss with y'all here at Pelicans Digest fan. Well, I want to discuss this with y'all in this episode, and it's about the center position for the Pelicans. We're going to get into that in a matter of minutes. But first, we got to give you the breaking news of the day here with the Pelicans, as they are now back in the States, and they already got busy making some moves and some cuts to the roster. Of course, you got to get the roster down to about 19 players with your G League or with your two-way players as well. And this was an expected move. Because when they signed these two guys, we kind of reported that the chances were high that this was just an Exhibit 10, which it was. It was an Exhibit 10 contract. They were here for training camp, and also the Pelicans still get to retain their G League rights. And we're talking about the signing, or should I say the cutting, of Jalen McDaniels and Garrison Brooks. And, of course, Jalen McDaniels was, to me, the more, I guess, better signing of the two, but but we expected this to be them to get cut because we knew that they was just coming in for training camp, getting depth, and also the Pelicans retain their G League rights. So it's more than likely going to happen with those two guys. You're going to probably see them in Birmingham this season. Both forwards are now likely to link up with the Pelicans G League club, the Birmingham Squadron. And Brooks and McDaniels remain with Birmingham for at least 60 days. Each player will be eligible for a bonus up to $85,000 on top of his standard NBA GL salary. All right. So again, when those guys were signed, we kind of made the announcement. We kind of made it clear that those guys were probably going to be cut at some point, but the main focus was to keep their G League rights, put them on the G League roster. McDaniels, who's been in the league for about, I think, 3.5 seasons now, I don't know if there's a development there or something. He did get some burn in the Australia series this past weekend. So he did get some burn and he did get some looks. So I think the Pelicans may see something in him. I don't know. But, you know, I see them make some things, do some things here and there on the court. Nothing mind-blowing. But he's also the brother of Jaden McDaniels. As you know, he's the star defensive player for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I guess the Bells are going to take a flyer on him and Brooks and bring him down to Birmingham. So those guys have been cut, though, and the roster is now officially down to 19 players plus 3 two-way players. So I think this is it. This might be 2025, 2026 New Orleans Pelicans as we know it right now. And and I came across a story though, as we wrap up that talk with McDaniels and Brooks. I came across an article a couple of days ago after the first Australia game the Pelicans had from Chris Lambert from Pelican Debrief. And, you know, I don't be agreeing with Chris on a lot of stuff, but I still respect Chris's opinion on a lot of things and a lot of his takes. He does be making some on-point takes from here and there. I respect that man's opinion. I respect that man's thoughts on this. But I wanted to take this to the audience because I thought this was a fascinating conversation to have with y'all, which is the Pelicans. Willie Green, and he wrote in his article, Willie Green is left with an impossible roster decision and he wrote this after the first game in Australia. And the debate that he's trying to kick up, and I'm kicking up as well, is who should be your starting center on opening night. You want to go with Kevon Looney, or do you want to go with Yves Missi? Okay, who do y'all want to go with over the night? Now, when I first started this channel, just after draft night, and after I called the Kevon Looney signing, I went, even in the same video that I talked about explaining why the Pelicans signed Kevon Looney, I pointed out in that video that Looney, that Missi actually should be the starting center on opening night. In that same video, same video where we announced the signing of Looney, I say that Missi should be your starting center opening night because he gave decent minutes last season. He's constantly improving. But I sort of changed my mind on this, and Chris Lambert's article sort of made me also change my mind on this as well, because from what I see in the games in Australia, and I know this is just preseason games, and it's not NBA competition. I know it wasn't the top tier competition of the world. But from what I saw in the minutes between Looney and Missi, numbers-wise, statistics-wise, jumped out of the board. Now, overall, over the 2 games in the weekend in Australia, Looney had a line of 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Okay, that was Looney's numbers. Missi's numbers over those games were 16 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Now, the difference is Missi played a whole lot more minutes than Looney, because Looney is still, as you probably saw, was still getting his game legs back from the season. Missi has been playing all summer long. He's been playing and practicing all summer long, so his legs are there and ready to go. So with that being said, Missi ended up playing almost double the amount of minutes in the Australia series, which is why he was able to rack up those kind of numbers. So he was able to play more minutes than Looney did. The thing is, between the two, and I think we got to get to understand this as Pels fans, that we got to look inside the numbers and deeper inside the numbers, is that Looney, when I saw him playing, I was watching him on his minutes on the floor, is involved in the offense, is a central part of the offense that is going to be that's going to allow the other guys like Zion, Jordan, and Trey to score. And that's what we got to understand as we get ready to go into the season. If you wanted Missi there at that position, Missi is still too raw, and while he's a great rim protector and a rebounder, when it comes to running an offensive play, pardon my mic, I'm hitting my mic, I'm getting all excited. When it comes to running the offensive play that the Pelicans want to run in certain sets, Missi still doesn't have a grasp of that, in my opinion. And I have to agree with Chris Lambert's take on this, because he says in the article, with both bigs having solid performances in this one, things may get tough for Green as we get closer to the start of the regular season. He's going to need to decide whether he trusts a second-year big in Missi to hold things down for a team with playoff aspirations, or if he's going to go with the safer veteran in Looney. And I think that's a good... Hey, listen, this is not... Be clear on this, y'all. We don't have to argue and get vehemently angry about this. This is a good problem to have. I said this in the last video. This is a good problem to have. This is a good problem to have. You got to be thankful for this. This is a good problem to have. Damn, which one am I? Do I go with the world champion veteran, one of the oldest players on my team, the most experienced players on my team at center, or do I go with the young all-rookie? I mean, you ain't got to feel great about that. This is a great argument to have. But again, when I looked at the numbers, I mean, I literally sat on this all night last night. I was supposed to post this video yesterday, but I literally sat on this all night because I wanted to look at the games with Missi and Looney. When it played, I went back in my league bags, looked at the games again. Looney, again, I had to say this, is more involved in the offense. It's going to be more central to the offense and making sure that we get some plays going and getting some offense going with the starters. And that's something Chris pointed out again. The Pelicans starting five already has guys who are going to be looking to score, and someone who primarily gets their points in the paint is Zion Williamson. So if Missi were named the starter, he had to adjust his game on the offensive end to fit into a role. And that's the thing. And that's why I come back to, too. There was some plays that Missi, that they were trying to set up and run with Missi when he was on the floor. And most of the set, this was one play in particular. I think Jeremiah Fears had the ball, and Missi was supposed to come up into the top of the key, or not the top of the key, but up at least towards the free throw line, and set a pick for Fears to go by. But Missi set the pick at a wrong angle. Now again, this is just one play, but Missi set the pick at a wrong angle, which enabled the defender to still get between him and Fears, or I think it was Fears. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I think it was Fears. But he released it too early, and the player was able to get in between. One of the Australian players was able to get in between and was able to knock the ball away and almost cause a turnover. And you don't see that with Looney, because you got to remember, Looney is part of a Golden State Warriors team whose whole thing was picking and rolling to get Steph Curry open. So he knows how to set picks and screens. Him and Poole, they have mastered that. They know how to master that. So if you want to run your offense more efficiently like the Pelicans are trying to do, you're going to have to go with Looney. I mean, because at the end of the day, he's going to allow the guys to be able to get open. Now, Missi, of course, is going to be fantastic to have in your front court, on your second line. It is going to be amazing to have him there, to have a rim protector and a shot blocker and a lot of those non-Zion minutes that we talked about. It's going to be crazy, man. So that's going to be crazy right there to have him on your second unit. And even if you did put Looney on the second unit, it'll be the same thing. You can still run the same kind of thing. Nothing too much could change. But I think for the sake of Poole and Trey, and now you're starting to see Saddiq Bey. Again, Saddiq Bey put up 21 that night. A couple of games ago. The second game. Put up 21 that night. I think you got the pieces there. But I have to go with Looney. What are your thoughts, though? Let's go ahead and get the debate started. Who do you want to see as your starting center on opening night? Yves, Missi, or Kevon Looney? Give me your thoughts. Clap back with them in the comments. Again, no need to get vicious and violent and angry about this. This is a good problem to have. And if you're part of the 70% that still haven't subscribed to Pelicans Digest, man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's get the subscriber community growing, man. And because we're going to be going live real soon. I'm also going to be checking in from the Smoothie King Center this season. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this channel with your fellow Pels fans. It's Melz talking about them Pels. Let's argue.